September Cardiff. You're the only person I've ever known who's been named September. It's a lovely name. Is there a history behind that?
There's no history. My mom just had a sense of humor, I guess. But I have loved having that name. It has made me kind of stand out in what I do. That helps. And I played basketball when I was younger, and that helped me stand out. So I've loved having the name.
Yeah, I've got to say, it would work. It would work well as a performer. I think it's a good, strong, unusual name.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you recently ran a magic camp for 8 to 11-year-olds. I'm going to get to that in a minute because I want to milk your brain while that's fresh in your mind. But first, let's backtrack a little bit. You've been performing for about 17 years in schools and libraries all over Kentucky and Georgia. What sort of performing do you do?
What sort of performing do I do? Well, I am kind of a motivational. I get kids excited about reading. I do some recycling. I do a show that's baddie over books. I do no bullying show. So there's different types of shows like that I do, but I dress up as different characters as when I go in, and so I kind of act out that character and have a good time with that.
Where does that come from? Is that a theatre background that you've got?
I don't have a theater background. My degree is in education. When my kids were young, I was very blessed to be able to stay home with my kids. But when they were young, some of the teachers loved to have me come in and read to the kids and perform, and it kind of just rolled into one. They were at a new school and they needed a mascot, and so I ended up being their Patriots, their Granny P. I was Granny P for a long time, and then it rolled into doing morning commercials for them, to writing my own little stories, so my own little ditties, and it just kind of rolled into the whole 50-minute presentation. And the librarian's like, "You've got to share this." So she ended up emailing my name out to all the librarians in Kentucky, and I got several catches off of it, and it just kind of blossomed from there.
Are you formally trained as a teacher?
Yes, yes.
How does that go? This is just a little sidetrack here. How do you find performing for kids and balancing that up with that training as a teacher where you, in a sense, have to keep order and discipline? Do you find that there's ever a conflict between that innate training that you've been given and your need to, when you perform is, I guess, be a bit more fun and friendly?
Well, you do have to be fun and friendly, but you also have to keep control. If you've got anywhere from 150 to 300 kids in an audience, I mean, you have to have that control, but yet have that fun and loving personality. And I think to be a teacher, you have to have that too. So, yeah, it's a good balance for me. I find it pretty easy, but some might not. I don't know.
Okay. So describe the magic camp that you've just recently run.
We started at 8 o'clock in the morning and went till 3 o'clock. The first half of the day was my drama. And then we had a break for lunch for an hour. And then we had our magic camp for 3 more hours till 3. And we started off in the morning. I met them at the door. The first day I put cowboy hats on them all. And I said, "Well, come on in, partner." And we went I was dressed in a cowgirl, and we did different warm-up games. We had them do tongue twisters, and we sang and stuff to get warmed up. And then I did a lot of research on different improv and readers theater and pantomiming, and some different activities with that. We would just kind of do one for 5 or 10 minutes and then go to a different one, and until that time was up, and then we'd break for lunch, and then I'd start my magic.
Who was it aimed for? And how did you find those people, those kids?
It was 8 to 11, ages 8 to 11-year-olds, boys or girls. And how did I find them? A lot. I found it first when I just posted it on my Facebook. A lot of my friends were like, "Oh, sign me up, my kid, sign my child up, da 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 da." And then I did it through the rec center. And right before school ended, they sent out a flyer, and they had my camp listed with it. And then about a week and a half or so before the camp, I needed a couple more spots. And so they sent out another flyer to just everybody on their email list. And so that's how I was able to get my kids.
So just to clear something up there, because you're in the USA, I'm in Australia, and there's audiences all around the world, we have different terminologies. What you call a camp is probably what I call here a school holiday program. Is that the same, that you've run this in a school holiday period, a school break?
Well, we're on summer break right now. And so we are doing, I did it for a whole week. I am planning on one of my future things that I'm going to do since this was successful. It was kind of my trial run. I was a little nervous and how it was going to happen, what was going to, if it was going to be successful or not. But I feel like it was big enough success that I'm going to, when they have like a fall break for a week, I'm going to take 2 or 3 days then. Or sometimes here in the U.S. we have like a 3-4 day weekend, and I'll do like a 4-hour camp one day or a 4-hour class one day, and then the next day possibly type thing.
So let's just
More of kind of what's in your magic class, the kaching. You kind of geared that more of a shorter period, of time. This was more of a whole week long, but I'm going to now try to get that whole just an hour or a 3-hour process or a half a day kind of thing also.
right. So let's just go back a bit and clear this up.
All right.
Your camp ran for a whole week, and it was a drama and magic camp. What did you actually call it?
It was Timber's theatrics. So theater being for the theater, and then the tricks, I kind of did a play on words, theatrics for the magic. So it was Miss September's theatrics camp.
Why did you choose to do a mix of the drama and the magic? What was your reasoning?
I feel like when you are doing magic, you're performing. I mean, you're up on stage, even if you're doing close up, you are performing. You're trying to make someone happy. You're trying to, do the illusion. You still have to perform. You have to make that eye contact. You have to work with them and be on a stage, basically. And so I felt like they went hand in hand together, because that way I was able to work on their stage presence and what we called their pizzazz during the drama, and then work more towards the magic when we did the magic part of the camp.
So it sounds like it was a much more holistic program. And is that important to you if you're putting on something like this, that you actually turn out kids at the end who have achieved something that they're better off for spending the time with you?
Oh yeah. When I finished that week, I had certificates and I was passing them out. And when you have a whole week with kids and you work with them and you see them from day 1 to the day 5 and the way they progress, I did. I started bawling, talking about each one of them when I was passing out the certificates, because it's so neat. Because like the parents would call me and they'd say, Miss September, my child is really shy, but she likes magic or he likes magic. Do you think he'd be okay? I'm like, you bet he'd be okay. This is how we get those type of children to come out of their shell, to get to where they like talking to people. If they can maybe, hide behind a puppet at first or hide behind their magic tricks, that type of thing, or even if it's behind makeup, it helps them to say, oh, I'm somebody else for right now. And then when they get that bug, they get the bug. But yeah, it made me feel very, I don't know what the word is. When at the end of the week, when I saw them, the way they progressed, it was very heartfelt for me. It made me feel really good. Gave me warm fuzzies.
So do you feel that there's a need? Do you perceive that there's a need for this out there for developing children?
I do. A lot in my community, just here in my city where I did it, there is a lot of camps for sports and that type of thing.
Yeah.
But if a child doesn't do sports, and even if they do sports, you need to be a well-rounded child. And this helps with that well-roundedness. And so it gives them a different option of just going to baseball camp, basketball camp, football. It gives them something else that they can try and see if they could be successful, and just even help them in their schoolwork. It helps them with their communication with their classmates, with their teachers, with anyone that they come in contact with.
First of all, tell us the balance in numbers or percentages between boys and girls, and how did the boys and girls respond differently to what you put forward?
For my drama camp, I had just a couple boys, and the rest of them were girls. And for the magic, there were probably four more boys. Then there was probably I'm trying to think. There's probably a 5 to 9, 5 boys, 9 girls. And I was really heartbroken when not as many boys signed up for the drama, because I've got 4 boys myself, and all of them were in school plays and scouts. They were always out there in the front doing their skits on skit nights and that type of thing. And so it was kind of sad for me that more boys didn't participate in the drama. But by the time the week was finished, every boy parent that did not do the drama part told me, I wish I would have signed them up for both. So it's through the parents' eyes, they were like, they didn't know what to expect. And to be honest, I didn't know what to expect because I had never done it before. But they, after seeing everything we did and the excitement when they would come in for the second half of the day for just the magic, they were like, I wish, next year, you're going to do it next year, right? Well, next year they're doing both. So, but it wasn't as many boys as what I would have liked, except for the magic. The boys do like the magic. They think they don't like drama. They really do, but they didn't sign up. There's not as many signs.
That's interesting. Do you think that the word drama scares boys off? Do you think that maybe if it was presented in a way, because you said with the Scouts with their comedy skits, and that that's a different terminology that they might respond to more?
I don't know. That's one of those things where I've got to kind of evaluate and decide how am I going to get, because my desire is to get more boys. I'd like to have it, at least half and half type thing. And maybe that's one of the things I could reword it on something like that. I'm not for sure exactly what. If you got any ideas, you can go ahead.
No, I'm just flying off the top of my head here as I'm talking to you. Do you with your camp, is it you offer the option of doing a drama component, a magic component, or a combination of both?
Yes. They can choose. It's a half a day. A price. There's a certain price for a half a day, and then for the drama, and then price for the second day, or they can do a combination. Yeah.
What do the parents expect of you? Do they expect that you're just going to babysit for the kids have got somewhere to go during the day while they either go to work, or do they expect something more from you?
That is a great question. I think it's kind of a half and half, because there are those parents that they work and they need somewhere for their kids to go. And so there are those that do. At first it's a babysitting, and then there's those who, like I said, they'll call up and they say, my child, they're shy, they're reserved, can you help? Can you do something for them? But then by the end of the week, on my website, it's like, thank you so much. It was, my child had so much fun. It was, they learned, they had so much fun, but yet they had fun with their drama, and it wasn't just a camp to go entertain them. Which they were entertained, but they got something out of it. And the parents, I was really pleased with the reaction of the parents, because I think that half didn't realize what they really were going to come out learning.
Did you find it hard to fill the workshop with the numbers? How many were you expecting? How many did you get?
I wanted at least 10 in the drama, 10 in the magic. That was my goal for the first time. At first, like about a month out, I was a little worried because I only had like 5 and 6. And so I was like getting a little scared. But as it got closer, and the rec center, the recreational center, sent out another flyer, I filled it, and I ended up turning quite a few away from magic. But I was a little scared that I wasn't going to get them filled, but I ended up doing that.
Just go over your schedule again. So you ran a 5-day camp, and It was 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., I think you said?
3 p.m. So it was 8 to 11, an hour for break for lunch, and then 1 to 3.
Just flesh that out a bit and explain to us what that consisted of. Like what was a day?
So like I said, they would come in, and as they came in, I would greet them. I would either have some type of activity where the first day I had an activity, they had to go into the table and draw something that represented them on a tree. It was just an activity they had. And then after that, as they came in and we were waiting on the rest of the second and third, fourth and fifth day, I had them learn how to juggle. And so as we were waiting for everybody to come in, that's when we worked on our juggling. And that was really fun. And then after everyone pretty much got there, that's when we would do our warm-up drills. Like I say, I did Scouts, and so I know all kinds of crazy songs where we would warm up their mouth. We would warm up their body, for the drama and getting them ready. And then that was probably the first hour-ish. And then for that next 2 hours, we just worked on different things like the pantomime, the improv, reader's theater, puppets. They love the puppets. And then after that, we would break for lunch. And I didn't realize, I thought an hour for lunch, they'd sit and do that, that'd be fine. But if anybody does this and they just a little tidbit of information, that hour, they eat quickly. And so then they're very rambunctious and you have to have something for them to do. And so I had little games or different things each day planned for the rest of that hour after they finished the lunch. And then at 1 o'clock, we started the magic. And what I would do is the first day I started off with like a little magic show of my own, just kind of say, okay, I do a little magic. I am a magician per se. And then I had a whole bag, a whole plastic bag, a large Ziploc bag. And I put everything for each child in all the different tricks that I was going to teach them. Everything was in there, which, by the way, a lot of them were your tricks off of your offline when I went to your site to get a lot of those tricks because they were simple and easy, but yet fun and entertaining. And they really, really enjoyed those tricks. So anybody listening, go to Julian's site and Ken's site because they have some really neat tricks that are easy to teach kids in a beginning magic class.
And another important thing about that is that the materials for 97, 98% of them you can find from around the house or around the school. And that's really important is not putting any barrier in front of a child wanting to learn magic if you make it as easy as possible.
Exactly. And that's one of the things I promoted, that they would learn tricks with things that they would see, if they're at a restaurant or if they're at home, just easy to do for them and not have to put a lot of money into it also. So, yeah. So I would take one trick, I would present it myself, and then I would break the trick down, and then I would have someone volunteer to come up and see how they would present it after me. And I'd let 2 or 3 people do that, 2 or 3 of the kids do that. And then I broke them up into pairs, and they would go and they would practice it, whatever trick it was that I had taught, that they would go and they would practice it to each other a couple times at least. And so I would do that with each trick. And then I would even, when they came back, I would ask, who feels comfortable that they, can do it even better, or that they, who feels that they can come up and do it again in front. And so a lot of them came back and did that same trick again. And then I would go to the next trick. And then I'd probably do it. And then I had a break. We'd have a snack. I asked each one of them to bring their own snacks. And so they would have a little snack break. And they would usually go back and, practice this or that, while they were doing that also. And just a little bit of time to get to know each other. And then we'd come back and I'd do another trick. And that, I was so afraid. I have to be honest, I had way too many tricks, had way too many things for them to learn, and probably went through it a lot quicker than I should have, because there was at one point, one little boy looked at me and said, I forgot all of my tricks, this little sad puppy dog face. And I realized at that point, I taught them a lot of tricks, but I needed still to break it down, even to give them more time, slower, and not as many tricks, but quality of them learning it. One of the things I did enjoy, and this kind of just happened, was by mistake, not mistake, but it just kind of happened to happen. That first day when the parents came to pick them up, they were like, oh, I want to perform this. Oh, I want to do this one, because they were telling it. And so we ended up every day after it was over and the parents came, we had like a 15-minute time for them to, I was like, so about 10 minutes before the parents come, I said, okay, who wants to do this one? Who wants to do this trick? Who wants to do the paper bag trick? And they would each take one. And when the parents came, if the parents had the time to sit and watch, they did that. The kids got to perform for them. And so that was, I think that was a really big plus that I will keep for next year.
Were you doing magic each day in the afternoon?
Yes. Yep. Nothing but magic. Yep. And I would break like in between. I'd talk about the pizzazz because there were some that didn't do my drama. They didn't participate in the drama class. And so I had to talk about, I talked about the different things like presentation, and how you look them in the eye when you're talking to them, and how you have to have confidence, because some of them, they get up there and just kind of mumble, and they wouldn't look you in the eye, and they'd be so shy. But by the end of the week, because we would go over those little things also. It's not just, okay, here's a magic trick performance. You have to break it down for them at that age. I mean, this is a beginning class. They don't have a lot of social skills. They don't know how to interact with people. And so in interacting with me and interacting with the other students and then for their parents, they gained so much more confidence, and that eye to eye contact was better. The body movement was better. And so it wasn't just the magic tricks, but the how to present it in the in between also.
I'm going to get on and talk about the types of magic tricks you did and whether you thought or whether you think that you need to be experienced to teach magic tricks, because I've actually got very strong views on that. Is
Yeah.
I don't think you need to have any experience to be able to teach magic tricks. That there's a lot more that goes on in there. I just want to ask you before we go there, with teaching magic in the afternoon, is because magic is requires that extra bit of concentration and focus. Do you think it would have made a difference if you had put the magic in the morning? And is there a reason why you didn't put the magic in the morning and then use the drama as a tool to maybe then be able to present the magic tricks in the afternoon to double up on that? Again, I'm just thinking off the top of my head here.
No, right. No, that makes a lot of sense. But there's no rhyme or reason to why I put one or the other. But that does make a lot of sense. But it's amazing the concentration level that they had. And I had a couple kids that I know were a little bit ADD or had a hard time concentrating, but they wanted to learn the magic so much that their eyes were just glued. I mean, they were glued. I don't want to miss anything. And so it was amazing for 3 hours, the concentration, even being in the afternoon. But now that you say that, I might just switch it. I had to do some thinking on that, but because that makes sense. But it was amazing the concentration level that they did have.
Well, it'd be interesting that if you did switch that, if you came back and talked to us again and
Yeah,
and just tell us if there is a difference, if one works better. So let's
yeah,
just go on and talk, because there are many people who are listening who are going, well, I don't do any magic. And I'm a strong believer, and I've proved it many, many times, that you don't need magic experience to be able to teach magic. You need a passion to want to, is what you were saying before, develop those strengths and qualities and characteristics in children, and magic is just the tool that you used to do that. How did you go with it? Because you said you perform magic, but it's not your core strength.
right. Well, when I did my magic, it was more of a stage magic. I have never done the one-on-one. I've never gone and done a magician show at a birthday party. I've never ever done this one-on-one. It's something that I have always wanted to do, but was always scared. I mean, I was scared to death because I see that, I'll go to a conference or I'll see it on TV or, and they just look so cool. And how could I ever do that? But going to your site, and this was like 5 or 6 years ago, for 5 years, I've been wanting to do this and going to your site and seeing all the little things. I'm like, I could do that. I could do that. I could do that. And I think you are so right. You don't have to be a big fancy magician. You have to love kids, and you have to have the desire for them to want to learn and to succeed. And if you have that passion for kids and wanting them to succeed and wanting them to be able to feel good about themselves and feeling good about yourself enough to get up in front of them and make that happen, I am so 100% behind you. You don't have to be a magician, this fancy magician, to teach kids magic, especially the beginner magic. I'm going to branch out next year because I had so many siblings come up to me and say, I want to do it. I want you to teach me, and they were like 14, 15. And I was just like, and that kind of makes me a little nervous, but this made me nervous. So next year, I'm going to do a couple things different. I'm going to possibility might make it a full day magic and a full day drama, possibly. I'm not for sure. And I'm going to do a 8 to 11-year-old and a 12 to 14-year-old. I'm scared to death. The middle school agers sometimes scares me, but it was amazing to see these kids that age, the siblings, come up to me and like, that was so cool because I made their whoever was participating, I made them raise their hand and take the promise. I will not share these magic tricks. I won't give away the secret. And they had to sign and everything. And they went home and they didn't. And so it just made their siblings mad. It's like, I want to learn that, and they thought it was so cool because they had, they went home and actually performed these for their families, and the siblings were like, I want to learn this. I want to do that. So it was kind of cool.
I run magic teaching programs in schools over eight-week periods. And the thing that I tell the schools and the teachers is that if you go into a classroom and you say to the kids, who wants to learn singing? Yeah, sounds good. Who wants to learn dancing? Yeah, sounds good. Who wants to learn magic tricks? You get every hand shoot into the air. For any child between, like that 8 to 14 you were mentioning, it is just such a fantastic hook to get attention. And once you've got kids' attention, then the learning begins. And you use the magic tricks as a vehicle. They think they're getting ice cream, but it's really easy to give them a big diet of Brussels sprouts and vegetables, things that are actually going to nourish and help them. And it's just a lot of fun. And those older kids, you won't get problems from them because they know that you have more knowledge to come in every day, and they don't want to miss out on that.
I hope so.
Self-interest. Yeah, but it is all those other things. It's the confidence building, it's the public speaking skills, eye contact, learning patience, and sequential learning. I mean, and just to take things a step at a time. And for a lot of people, that is like breathing, and for others, it's not. Other people, as you know, as a trained teacher, some people need that constantly reinforced and explained to them. And these are really good skills for kids to take through life with them.
Exactly. Yeah. In every aspect of their life.
Yeah. And just a point I want to pick up on. We've been talking about my online videos, and I better explain that to people who don't understand. So I have a number of sites. One is called Julian's Magician School. Another is now called Magic Tricks for Kids. And it's where there's about 150 easy tricks for kids and adults to learn, where everything you need you can basically find around the house. But the point of difference of them is that if you go onto YouTube and you search magic tricks, you're likely to find a video of someone's hands. And it's someone's hands who are just disassociated from the body, and they're just showing you the technique of the magic trick. What we do in these videos is we show you the technique, but we show you a little ploy, a way to present them, a little story, some funny gags that go along with them, because most people will learn how to do a magic trick, but they'll be so scared about actually going out and performing it. So we try to give you the tools to go out and perform. But how that started was when I was teaching this in schools, is that it's exactly what you were saying, September. You had that little kid who came up to you and said, I can't remember any of them. Even if you teach 3 tricks in a 1-hour session, 3 simple tricks, that's too much knowledge for people. And so you need a way for them to review that material and go and relearn it. So that's how these tricks started going online. I started putting them on there as a way for students to go and learn and review what they've learnt during the day. And they just became really, really popular and have grown to a successful channel. But for everyone listening out there, it's all free. Go and use them. And, I encourage you to just take it, do it your own way, take it how I've presented it, and then actually use them. If you're putting on a course like September has put on, use those and send them, in an email to the parents. Here's everything the kids have learnt. Go and use that. It's a tool for everyone to use.
I have to put a little thing in there. At first, I signed my son up. He was, I think, like 8 at the time, because it's, at first you're like, oh, sign your son up, your child up or whatever. But I used it way more than my son did, and learned so much, and love to teach your tricks because they are so easy to teach. And it's amazing, like you said, the little ditties that you did with them. As I would teach them, it's amazing how they would catch on to that and come up with their own, because it wasn't just a magic trick. It's like, oh, well, I can do it this way or that way. And they come up with their own from that too. So that was good.
And that's another idea. And this is what I do in schools sometimes as well. We actually use the magic tricks to embed with the English curriculum, because it's exactly what you're saying, is that you give them a little ditty to do the trick with, and you go, well, now go write your own. And because a lot of them are just very simple, and it's a lot of doggerel type verse, and it's very easy for the kids to get the rhythm and the rhyme and to write their own material. So there's lots of possibilities that anyone out there, if you have no experience in magic, again, there's so much that you can do, and you can combine it with what you do, drama. You could do it with face painting. You could do it with balloon twisting. Do a bit of mix and match, and there you go. You've got a holiday that you can put on. A program you can put on over the holidays, and you can earn a bit of income. So what I want to talk about now, is we're sort of coming up to time here, is about the requirements to put on an event like this. I want to talk of things like the venue, insurance, advertising, and your personality type. You know, if you're going to put the event on, do you need to be a particular type of person? I mean, do you need to handle stress?
Yeah, there's when you get that many kids, when you get 14 young kids, boys, girls, that age, you have to be able to have control and management of a classroom, because it was a classroom. You have to be able to control them. But you have to be fun. You have to love kids. If you just love magic, but you don't love kids, it's not the type of thing you want to do. But if you love kids and enjoy teaching them and want to see them succeed, that's the type of personality you have to have.
The venue, did you do this in your home?
I went to the recreation center, the rec center, and they had a building that I was to put on my show in, my performance or my class. It was like 4 days before camp started. They called and said the air condition was out in the building. They called and said that the air condition was out in the building. And so I had to kind of backpedal, and I ended up having it in my home. I called all the parents. A lot of them I knew already or had gotten to know through signing up and everything. But so they were all okay with me having it in my home. But it was supposed to be at the recreational center in a big building they've got there that was going to be perfect. But so that's why I had it in my home. I don't know. I'd have to do a little bit of research on, the legalities of that and type thing, really, but that was just kind of a back paddle why I had it in my home. But I actually loved having it in my home because I have a lot of stuff. I've got hats. I've probably got over 200 hats. I've probably got, costumes galore. I've got, so much stuff that was so much easier to just take it from my attic and my rooms upstairs to downstairs instead of putting them in my van, loading them up, taking them somewhere else, that type of thing. So it was a lot easier to have it in my home.
Do you think there's a difference between holding it in maybe a larger venue like a hall, where if you've got a smaller number of people, okay, let me just backtrack and start it with this, saying that, if you have a party and if you've got, say, 30 people at a party and you book out a larger venue, because it just seems like a nicer thing to do. Quite often the party doesn't work as well because the venue is too big for the amount of people there. Yet if you have a party at home, quite often for that amount of people it goes a lot better because the venue physically contains the people and makes interactions a lot easier. People can't wander off and sit in a corner. In a sense, there is no corner. So do you think that that's had a difference? Holding in your house was a better venue than doing it in a larger?
I think it is a better. I mean, I haven't done, I didn't do the other, so I can't compare it. But in my thoughts, it made the kids so much more at ease, I feel like, because it was a home and they felt comfortable. And so with that, I think it flowed easier. And like you said, they couldn't just go off. I think it, for me and my personality and what I did, it went a whole lot smoother with it in my home.
Okay, so what are the things that you did that worked really well, and what are the things that didn't work, and what would you change next time?
Okay, well, I talked about the bag with all the tricks in it, okay? That went really well. I had to lay down the line at first and tell them, you only get out what I ask you to get out, and then when we're done with that trick, you put it back. And they had to keep it Ziploc, unless we were getting a trick out. So I had, they did that, and one of the biggest things I loved is I had a friend take pictures throughout the whole week. So every day I posted pictures. I had each parent sign a release that I could post their child's picture online. And I posted their pictures. The parents loved it. I got more publicity out of those pictures than I would have any type of anything else. Because I've had parents, call and say, "Oh, I saw that online. I want my child to do that next year," or that kind of thing. And so many good comments from the parents, underneath the pictures on Facebook and stuff. So that was a really good thing that I did. I think doing easy tricks. They were cool tricks, but they were easy tricks. Definitely a positive. Let's see. Like I said, the 15 minutes afterwards of them presenting. One day I had a friend of mine who is a magician come in and he performed. He performed for the kids. But then after he performed, he let them perform for him, which was way cool because and then they got to interact and stuff afterwards. And so that was like this little break about midway. I did that on Thursday. And so that was a good thing that happened. I did a lot of get to know you activities. That helped for the kids to get to know each other. So as they had to branch off, when I said, okay, you go with, everybody go with somebody different and practice the tricks. So that was good. I would do less tricks. That's some of the things I think I would do less tricks. Like I said earlier, that's one of the things that I would definitely change. I think next year I would video them and then play back the video. I think it's important for them to see themselves because just like my kids when they're in sports, they say, oh yeah, I had my head up. I was following through. Well, they don't realize, they think in their mind that they're doing a lot of things, but they're not. And so I think next year I will video them and show the video. So that's an added thing. Something I didn't do is I think with all the tricks that I learned that day, I would send home a flyer with the parents saying, we did this, this, and this. Here's the directions, or you can go to this website and get it here, so they can see it. So either give them the directions. I think I overloaded them a lot. And with that, I didn't have the directions anywhere, or I didn't have a connection to your website or any other websites that I use. And so I would definitely send them home each night with what we did that day, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Is a 5-day period the best length of time?
Yes. Like you said earlier, is it a babysitting thing? Well, it may be, but, because parents work Monday through Friday. At least that's where the days usually they work here in the U.S. And they do need somewhere for their kids to go. And so if I did it on a Saturday, Sunday, it might be a little awkward for them. It wouldn't fit the bill in the summer. I think during the school year, I might try a Saturday here and there and try, to see if I could get, some support in just a 1-day thing.
It makes sense that if you made it Monday to Friday, it just makes it easier for parents. They know, well, I don't have to think about that week. That's done. Yeah. Look, that was fantastic. A lot of great information in there. Where can people find out about you, September?
Timberstales.com. That's my website.
So that just broke up a little bit. It's Timbers Tales, TEMBERSTALES.com. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. Or they could look me up September Cardiff, CARDIFF on my Facebook. And I've got pictures posted on my Facebook of every day that I did the camp. And so they can see what happened. Just like, there's hats. I have tons of hats. The kids wore hats all week long. They would just go and interchange their hats. And it was really kind of funny because they ended up identifying with a hat throughout the week. But anyway, so they can see what happened through the pictures also on my Facebook.
Well, September Cardiff, thank you very much for graciously giving up your time, and I hope that maybe in a year or so's time we can come back and check in with you and see how it's all evolved.
That would be great. Thank you. This has been a great experience. Appreciate it very much. And if anybody has any questions, not that I have the answers, but I can give you the do's and don'ts of my first year. So if they have any questions, they can call or look me up on my website and email me.
Thanks again.
You're welcome.